Toho, the producers of Godzilla in Japan, who most recently produced the most amazing film known to humankind, Godzilla Minus One, has just greenlit the next Godzilla project. Now they have named Takashi Yamazaki, who also directed the previous Godzilla film, to write, direct, and be the head of the VFX department for the next Godzilla film. And wow, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be great. I also applaud them for seeing what works and trying to continue that trend and kind of giving this person all that control, because obviously he's very talented, he's very passionate, and he's very hardworking, right? I watched a video with him, an interview with him, talking about how he had never really done anything VFX wise, but went home, learned the programs, and achieved something that he wanted specifically in the film on his own. Obviously, I'm sure it's not really on his own. He has a team, I know, but in this specific instance, he was talking about one of the action sequences in the film, didn't really know how to say what he wanted, but figured it out, and I think that speaks of volumes to him as a leader and as an individual. So the big question now is it a sequel to Godzilla Minus One, or is it a standalone film? I think we're in this world of sequels and universes and all of those things that's why Godzilla Minus One was so refreshing, because it was something that could stand alone by itself and be a very classic Godzilla monster film. Now, as much as we all love that, we also all want to see Mothra, and we all want to see King Ghidorah, and all of these things, you know what I mean? So, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I personally hope that if it is a standalone film, we do get to see Mothra and King Ghidorah and all of those things. I think one of the great things that Godzilla has going for it in general is that really most of the films aren't the same, and they don't have the same Godzilla design. That's why when you search up Godzilla, you're going to find a million different iterations of Godzilla, with different... Every artist has their own vision of what Godzilla is, and that's just so wonderful that we can still, regardless, recognize who he is. So a part of me thinks that's also a part of the Godzilla art form, like something always changes from movie to movie. Take Shin Godzilla, for example. In most of the Godzilla mythos, he doesn't morph and change into a new version of himself in most films or most iterations of him. But in that movie he did, and it worked so well. Whereas in Godzilla Minus One, he had the more classic look to him, but his scales came out when he was about to hit his atomic blast and all those things. So it's just I hope that no matter what it is, we kind of keep true to the Godzilla changes sort of thing, I can't imagine that he won't have new and fresh ideas to move forward with. I think I think I'd be really okay with it if it wasn't a direct sequel, just because you got the classic horror monster ending where it's oh my god, he blinked, or he opened his eyes, or his hand crushed through the ground and came out in his cemetery, that sort of thing. And that's why it's refreshing. So I am a little concerned that if it is a sequel, we may be ugh, another universe. Or maybe, hey, we say, you know what, Takashi, we trust you. Bring us that sequel. Regardless, Godzilla Minus One brought in a freaking Oscar win, which is something that no other Godzilla film has been able to do. Let me fact check that real quick. I was correct. I fact checked. I fact checked that before I moved on. Godzilla Minus One brought back the VFX award from the Oscars, which is amazing. Given that it was up against Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Oppenheimer, which these movies had hundreds of millions of dollars at their disposal, where this movie only had $15 million. There's no doubt in my mind that this Godzilla Minus One sequel is going to get a much larger budget. I mean, given that in the US specifically, it made back almost its entire budget in the opening weekend. It made a little over $11 million in its opening weekend. With a $15 million budget. Holy shit. And that's not even talking about worldwide domestically. It's wonderful. I'm excited. It's hip. It's now. It's wow. And if you are a Godzilla fan like I am, please let me know in the comments below who you hope to see this new Godzilla fight. I mean, I feel like I'm missing that Japanese specific monster Godzilla adversary, given that the last few Godzilla films from Japan have had him as a standalone horror kind of creature where there wasn't really a battle, whereas the terrible American movies have had like thick Mothra and like, you know, all of those things. It's fine. It's fine. The first movie was actually kind of fun. The second one, King Ghidorah, was cool, but now it's just kind of like, I'm Godzilla and I'm monkey. I'm not a fan of it anymore. Let's see what our friends over at Toho decide to do. Regardless, I'm excited. I hope you're excited. And hey, if you're watching this video and you haven't seen Godzilla Minus One yet, do yourself a favor and go watch Godzilla Minus One. It's amazing, and I watched it 3 times in theaters. And yeah. Anyways, love you.